episode of Three Guys One Mic. My name is Jeremiah. I'm joined by my two co-hosts,
Aaron,
William.
and we got a great show for you today, guys. So as we know, 4 big divisional games happened this week, right? So we're gonna go Bills, Ravens. We're gonna go Packers, Rams, and then Bucks versus Saints to end it all off. Okay. So I'm gonna open the floor up to you, Will. Start me off with those Bills, Ravens, huh?
Okay. Well, from what I saw in that game, you could obviously tell that the win was a huge factor. Both teams missed 2 field goals. When it came to deep throws, Josh Allen missed a deep throw to Stephon Diggs, I believe, and it was just overthrown. I mean, obviously the one played a huge factor. That's why it was a low-scoring game, 17-10. I think the Ravens' defense did all they could against Josh Allen. They only held him to 3 rushing yards. 3 rushing yards, wasn't passing that great. He wasn't doing that well. Again, my could point 17-3, but they actually scored 10 points on them. 10 points against that offense is really good. When it comes to it, half of Josh Allen's yards came to Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs had 106 yards for a touchdown. Again, Bills are still kind of scaring me with their run game, only having 32 yards this game. But the biggest thing about the Bills is that they're still finding a way to win. Even though they can't run the ball, they're still finding ways to win. Lamar went out in the fourth with the bad head injury, with the concussion, hit his head on the turf in the fourth quarter. But I mean, he just has to play better. You know, when it comes down to it, he only had 14 of 24 for 162 yards, 1 interception, a bad interception that led to a pick six in the end zone. When you're in the red zone, you let them get a touchdown.
What was it, like 103 yards?
101 yards.
Yeah,
it was tied for the longest pick six in playoff history. Also, the one thing that it came down to was that the Bills made less mistakes than the Ravens did. They missed the same amount of field goals, but when it came down to it, they had 0 turnovers. Lamar got sacked 6 times. Oh, excuse me. The Ravens had 8 penalties, and the Bills only had 2 penalties. So they played a cleaner game, even though it was low scoring. The offenses weren't clicking. They still played a cleaner game. That's what it came down to. Also, the Ravens had more yards, more first downs, more rushing yards, passing yards, all that, but it doesn't matter because they made the more mistakes. So, and for the Ravens going forward, I see it as you don't have to revamp that offense with Lamar, but you got to give him, I think you have to give him a receiver with a big frame, a true number 1 receiver with a big frame. So it can be easier for him to pass, because I don't see him making that big jump to be an elite passer. But he needs the more weapons, because Hollywood Brown, he's good and all, but I think he's a number 2. He's a great number 2, but can't be a number 1.
To cut you off real quick, Will, like you said, that was a great point. You know, like a bigger catch radius. When you get Devontae Adams, when you get like DeAndre Hopkins, their catch radius, you can put anywhere around them. They're going to go and get it. He needs one of those guys.
All right, so now we're going to go on to Aaron. What are your thoughts about the game?
for me, this game, I always thought it was going to be one big play. And like Willie said, the mistakes. But one big play from the defense or offense, I felt like whoever made that play first was going to win the game. Because that game was, neck and neck the whole time. And then, like Willie was saying, the rushing yards went to Baltimore, 150, and the Bills only had 32. And the passing yards were 190 for Baltimore, and Josh Allen only had 188. And the time of possession was 35 minutes for the Ravens, and the Bills only had the ball for 24 minutes. And the first downs was 19 Baltimore, 17 Bills. And like you said, they missed the same amount of field goals. And for this game, the big play that changed the whole game, and I knew the Bills were going to win after this, was that pick six. Because after that pick six, Lamar comes back, he gets hurt in the third quarter. And after seeing that, you kind of figured the Bills had it locked in. Because I don't think Trace McSorley was going to come in and start throwing dots and pull Nick Foles, in 2017.
Trace McSorley towards ACL, bro.
It was Huntley.
It was who?
Huntley.
It wasn't RG3?
No.
He's undrafted free agent. The backup, number 2.
Okay, yeah, the little 5'9" quarterback, right?
Lamar was at home for the game.
He was at Sarah Brothers.
Oh my God, I was visiting family. That's okay, but yeah, Lamar, just another horrible playoff game. It won't look good on the resume, and Josh Allen did just enough to win the game.
Okay, I'm gonna start off here defending Lamar. I think how quick we are as humans to forget the past, right? Like, we're living in the present right now. Yeah, Lamar didn't play good, but he won he single-handedly won a playoff game versus the Titans last week. You know what I mean? So don't forget that. He's not a bad quarterback by any means. Maybe he got out-schemed. Maybe, he got outplayed, right? But he still gave it his all,
still
right?
Young.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? He's younger than Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? So, here, moving on to the statistics, right? So for me, I said it was history right in front of us. You know what I mean? The Bills going from not winning for 20 years, a single playoff game, and now winning 2, going to the AFC Championship, where they're favored to win, in my eyes, right? We'll get to that a little bit later. So Josh Allen, you know what I mean? Not a big statistical game by any means. You know what I mean? Just about 200 passing yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. That's a big one here, no, right? You guys both hit on it. Scares me going to this AFC Championship game. No rushing game. 32 yards it's abysmal. It's abysmal, especially when it's a close game and you have to run the ball in those close games and you can't. You're lucky you got away with this one. Their defense though, did play pretty well.
Yeah.
They had over 4 sacks. They had an interception. They had the touchdown, right? And I said, looking forward, playing against an injured Mahomes. You mean? Perhaps Chad Henne or Henne. Chad Henne. Playing against Chad Henne. That's looking promising, right? And then Lamar, right? I gotta say, he played bad football. 162 passing yards, 1 interception, 9 rushes for 34 yards, right? The team got outscored 14-0 in the second half.
Yeah.
You mean? The 14 unanswered points, right? I think it's just their defense only had 2 sacks, no interceptions. They weren't pressuring Josh Allen. You know what I mean? And so for me, it wasn't a commanding win like how when the Bills beat the Colts.
Yeah.
But I think it was a win that you won by any means possible. And so for me, looking forward, I think it's gonna be an amazing game if Mahomes plays. Next game.
We're gonna go to Browns and Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start this one here. So 22-17. You know what I mean? And what was in my eyes the best game out of all 4 this weekend? You know what I mean? Like I watched every single snap of that game, and I was gonna text you. I forgot to text you. I said watching this game makes me love football. You mean it's days like this that make me love football. It's days like this that I'm okay with spending 3.5 hours watching a football game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the Chiefs had 9 third downs, right? And the Browns had 12. And you think, oh well, the Browns had the ball more. Well, it's like no, because the Chiefs scored on 1st and 2nd down. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need the damn 3rd down. Yeah. Baker still played a serviceable game. 23 of 37, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, right? It's no known secret. Baker's not going to give you a 300-yard, 3 touchdown performance. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes, before he went out, 21 of 30, 255 yards, 1 touchdown. He had the 1 rushing touchdown as well, too, right? Mahomes does what Mahomes does, right? He's my homeboy. Now, for me, this Browns defense, atrocious. I said they sold. That first drive, I mean, I understand it's scripted, right? I understand it's scripted, and they know what they're going to do. But still, you don't allow people to do that. You don't allow Mahomes to put a damn move on you, bro. Like, as a defender, you have to understand, like, you have an assignment. You mean, and the guy who was assigned to Mahomes, he was trying to play both. It's like, no, like, pick your poison. You have to go after Mahomes, or you go after Tyreek on the pitch. You know what I mean? That one really killed me. They allowed over 300 passing yards and over 125 rushing yards. You know what I mean? So it was over 425 yards of offense that they allowed. You know what I mean? You can't win a playoff game like that. They had 1 sack. They had 1 pick. They picked off Chad Henne. They didn't pick off Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes isn't throwing that pick. You know what I mean? The key plays for me. That missed field goal. After Baker's pick, that missed field goal was the best thing for them. You know what I mean? Then they had like a big gash in the 4th quarter with 8:29 left, but there was a crackback, which is an illegal block in the NFL, so it brought them back 15 yards out of field goal range. That was a key one right there. And then after that penalty, that's when the call Joseph interception came on Chad Henne. So it was the very next play he threw it over everyone's head. And then Myles Garrett got a sack with 2:16 left, right? It was right before the 2.5. He got a sack, and it put him at a 3rd and 14, right? Yeah. And that's when it was like, oh shit, game just changed. You know what I mean? Browns have a chance. And then it was 3rd and 18, right? 3rd and 18, Chad Henne gets 17 yards. Chad Henne ran for 17 yards, and no one was close to him. I don't know how that happens. You're a defensive coordinator, like, that's how you lose job. That's how you lose your job. You know what I mean? Like you don't let Robert Saleh wouldn't let that happen. Yeah. I mean, like, you mean his cold dead body? And the next play, Hill runs an out route. That's the ball game, 4th down. Yeah, and so for me, I was rooting. Hell, all of America was rooting for this Browns team. Everybody but Kansas City was rooting for this Browns team. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was just like, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Andy Reid has the biggest balls I've ever seen on a man in my life. You know what I mean?
That was in my notes.
Yeah, he has those South Park balls. You know what I mean? Like you know
the
what I mean?
shovel. I mean,
the wheelbarrow. Yeah. So for me, hard fought game. Chiefs, congratulations, guys, going to AFC Championship. But I think the Browns played a phenomenal football game.
Mm-hmm. All right, little man, what do you think about this game?
The Browns this game ran away from their true identity, in my opinion.
Yep.
Nick Chubb only had 13 carries for 69 yards, and Hunt only had 6 for 32. And I believe at halftime, or in the first half, they only had ran the ball 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the key for them winning games this season was the O-line in the running game.
Yeah.
And they shied away from the Chiefs, who I believe don't have a very good rushing defense.
Yeah.
They're all pass defense, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs don't have the Browns don't have a deep ball receiver, especially without Odell. And we saw, like I was telling them earlier, Baker didn't throw that far yesterday. Like his average attempts was only 5 yards compared to his regular season. It was about 7 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not throwing the ball deep, or you don't have a deep ball receiver, it's hard to make big plays.
Yeah. And
that cost him a lot yesterday. And the one big play they had to Rashard Higgins, it ended up being a touchback because he fumbled
through the end zone.
And the Chiefs, you couldn't start off a game any better, like Maya was saying.
Yeah.
And they actually outrushed the Browns. I believe it was 132 to 116. It was somewhere around there. And when you outrush a team like the Browns, you're destined to win the football game.
Exactly.
And the Chiefs in Arrowhead, I didn't see them losing this at all, but I was actually surprised on how close it was.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully if Mahomes does play next week, Mahomes and Allen, I believe it'll be a show out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure you're done?
Yeah.
Yeah, to touch on what you said, again, the Browns went away from their identity. Only had 6 rushes at the half. One was a design run for Baker. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, if you're the Browns, you have to have a better game plan. You can't, like how you said, like Baker could give you a good game, but he's not going to give you 300 yards, 3 touchdowns and all that. One thing I saw that was great from the Browns was that after Baker threw the interception on the first drive of the second half, they went on an 8-play, 77-yard drive. And most of that was Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb got them there. Again, Baker threw the touchdown, but Nick Chubb got them there. With the injury to Mahomes, it sucked to see. But, I mean, honestly, that play call was on Andy Reid. Like, you called that exact same play to score on the first drive of the game. The Browns defense is a pro defense. They could recognize the same play. So, they just rushed to Mahomes. I don't know why you called it, especially when Mahomes having a hurt toe. Yeah. So I don't know why you put your quarterback in danger like that. Mahomes with his hurt toe, you could tell that it was affecting his throws. They were all low. He couldn't maneuver the pocket. He looked slower. I think it was on a 3rd and 7. He ran for a first down, but just like hobbled and like flopped. Yeah, like
he barely got there.
Yeah, he barely got there. Yeah. So and again, Chad Henne, he managed the offense well, right? He got that great third down run. But when it comes down to it, if he has to start next week, it's a whole different ballgame. You have a team that's game planning against you. They have film on you from this week.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than just being thrown in and having to convert a first down or something like that. But I'm going to use something that Little Man likes to use is X factors. I couldn't call it the MVP of the game because he's not a player, but the X factor was Andy Reid. Calling that play, calling a passing play on 2nd down and then 3rd down, and then on 4th and inches, you run a quarterback sprint out to Tyreek Hill. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was freaking... It screamed confidence. You know what I mean? Like, it screamed confidence in your team. Even with your franchise quarterback out, you're still going to call that play.
Yeah.
So, that's why Andy Reid is one of my favorite coaches, because he had that gutsy call and trusted his team. For the Browns moving forward, it was a great season, but this is a season where you got to build on it. You have the momentum in that division. You have the best momentum going into that division. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Will. And then one thing I forgot to say in my notes, I think, the Browns were on schedule for a majority of that second half.
Yeah, for the second half,
they were on that schedule. And so the only reason they got off the schedule is because they didn't get the ball back. You know what I mean? If the Browns would get the ball back, I have the utmost confidence in Baker Mayfield winning that football game. You know what I mean? But that just sucks. So Packers versus Rams.
Yeah, Packers, Rams. We're going to go with Little Man here.
Yes.
I'll start off by saying this game, the Packers O-line, they came to play. I believe they had 3 All-Pros but then David Bakhtiari unfortunately tore his Achilles, I think.
His ACL.
Or his ACL.
Yeah.
And they just straight out dominated. They took advantage of Aaron Donald having his rib cartilage. And I believe they had 0 sacks. Yeah. And only, I want to say 2 pressures. So Elton Jenkins, who I honestly didn't know existed until last year, he took his he held his own against Aaron Donald and whoever they threw in front of him. And once I saw Aaron Donald get pissed off in that one play where he had that flag.
Oh yeah, we started to fight. Yeah,
I knew that they were gonna have a field day with this whole line.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take advantage of that, they outrushed Los Angeles by 188 to 96.
Mm-hmm.
And we would all agree to say that the Rams have on a tear in the run game, right?
Run game.
Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson.
Cam Akers been killing it.
Yeah, he's been killing them. And A-Rod and Devontae had a plan to go after the secondary very early, and I think they did. And that kind of slowed, that showed too with Jalen Ramsey getting upset on the sideline.
Yes.
And after that, I knew the game was all to the Packers. I just didn't think. I thought it was going to be a blowout at that point. I was actually surprised on how well Jared Goff played.
Yep.
Yeah. And he didn't play bad, but I feel like the Packers offense just hit it off early, and that just
too much to come back from.
Yeah, it was just too much to come back from, and I didn't see the Rams defense coming out strong in that second half because all the momentum was just with the Packers the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, Aaron Rodgers looked great. He was 23 of 26 for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think the story about this game was that how Little Man touched on it, that the Packers outrushed the Rams. Again, Cam Akers has been on a tear, like Little Man said. Honestly, when it comes down to it, you have to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a mobile quarterback.
He's too good.
Yeah, when you give him time like that, when he can run around the pocket, his receivers can do the scramble drill. You can't give him that much time against this. And I'm actually convinced this offense is top in the NFL. The stats say it, but I'm convinced that when you go against that Rams defense, who looked amazing in last week, and you do that to them, Allen Lazard and Tonyan both had big plays, big days as they needed to. As I said, with Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Adams, they did what they had to. Goff looked 10 times better than he did last week. He was 21-27, 174 yards and 1 touchdown, and actually looked like he had power behind his throws. He didn't look like he was like second guessing himself before he threw it. Like he looked, like props to him. He had surgery on his thumb a little bit less than a month ago, and he already looks good. I mean, I'm just proud of him, even though everyone likes to slander him. So like, say he's not that franchise quarterback. Yeah. He may not be, but he still has guts out there. I feel like the loss of Cooper Kupp was big. He was a game time decision. He's one of the best run after catch receivers we have in the NFL.
Yeah,
that would add another element to that offense. Aaron Donald again wasn't a factor. Was hurt. The cold weather surely affected him. He was getting single-handedly blocked. Like no double teams on runs. Ramsey did not shut down Devontae Adams as he needed to. I think Matt LaFleur had a great play call, motioning Devontae Adams on the goal line. Getting him open. Yeah, that was great. That's what you needed to do. And the Packers, this team looks determined. They look physical. They look hyped up. This is something that I haven't seen in a Packers team in a long time. Yeah, like they actually look determined.
Their defense has a spark, even though their
defense has a spark. Their running game has a spark. Everything looks good.
So for me, start off. Ramsey who? Ramsey like what did? If you're if they had to give you enough money, you got to put them on layaway. If you come to Jacksonville in an armored truck, you know what I mean? You better say, hey coach, hey. I got Adams all game. Yeah. No, but then he breaks you up the line and you act like you're dropping. You see the clip? Yeah. But he acts like he's dropping back into a zone. Yeah. It's like no, like he snatched your ankles. You're in a zone,
he's
dog.
Went straight back. Yeah. I saw that.
Ramsey, man, come on, bro. Jared Goff, like you said, Will, I was gonna have this one. I thought he played a good game. I thought that was what you want from a quarterback in the playoffs. However, it gets overshadowed because Aaron Rodgers played a phenomenal game. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. You know what I mean? Like, he put up an MVP performance in the playoffs. And so everyone's like, oh, Jared Goff? Yeah, I guess he played good. But and everyone sees past it, right? The like you said, the run game, you know what I mean? The run game for the Packers over 150 rushing yards, killer. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were pound like when you could pass for almost 300 and run for over 150. You know what I mean? That's just you do whatever you want with that game. You know what I mean? You said Robert Tonyan. You know what I mean? Had a great game. You know what I mean? 4 catches, about 60 yards. Lazard, you mean being wide receiver number 2. Yeah. 4 for 96, a touchdown, right? Yeah. And I understand it's the Antonio Brown effect on Juju, right? Like Adams is getting the number 1 cornerback. So Alan Lazard looks better, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then Adams still had 9 for 66 in a touchdown, right? So they still played phenomenal, you know what I mean? I thought the Rams, once again, they played a good game. Cam Akers had a solid game once again. It's just sometimes like all you can give just isn't enough. You know what I mean? Like your best just isn't enough, and in this case, it just wasn't enough. You know what I mean? You had a banged up team with like your best player on defense. You mean has broken ribs. You mean like, but he still tries to go out and play. You mean
you saw him emotional after the game.
He saw me. He's bawling his eyes out. You know what I mean? You lose Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean, before the game even starts. You know what I mean? And so you can't blame this team for losing. Especially because, in my eyes, they just lost to the Super Bowl champions. You know what I mean? And so I thought it was a great game. And that's all there is to say about that one. You know what I mean? Packers have all the momentum, Willie.
Yeah, they do. We're going to go on to the Saints and Buccaneers here. And I'm going to let Jeremiah start off with this game.
So for the Saints and the Buccaneers, the score was 30-20. In my eyes, it could have been like 30-13, right? Because I'm like, if you take away that one Winston Hail Mary, you know what I mean, trick play, they really have no offensive production. And also, like their first score when they got the ball from the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers started the game with 2 3-and-outs. Okay, so it's 3-and-out, 3-and-out. Their first 3-and-out, they punt it, right? They punt it, and you get a 56-yard return. You know what I mean? Yeah. That set up the Saints for their field goal. They had a field goal, right? Right off the bat. Then the next time they punt it back, and the guy runs it back for a touchdown, and praise God you had a block in the back. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's 10-0. You know what I mean? And so those 2 returns, that just set up the Saints, right? But after that, the Saints, it turned abysmal. You know what I mean? And then like the Buccaneers defense started off bad because they're put in bad situations by their offense. You know what I mean? And they had to play a lot of snaps because their offense was doing 3-and-out, 3-and-out. I feel like as the game went on, the Buccaneers started to wear down the Saints defense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Leonard Fournette was running really, really hard. Ronald Jones, he busted a 60-yarder, but there was a holding call, and like it was his quad he hurt. You know what I mean? And so I think this team was definitely pounding the rock. That's something I want to see. Tom Brady is 43 years old. You know what I mean? And so he's not gonna be able to make every damn throw you want. You know what I mean? He's not gonna be able to get out of the pocket. You know what I mean? He needs the help. But I thought it was a phenomenal game. You know what I mean? The statistics, when you look at the game, wasn't really an action-packed game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There wasn't a whole lot of stats, a whole lot of touchdowns. You know what I mean? However, I think it was more for like the sentimental effect. You know what I mean? I told my dad, I was like, Dad, we'll never get to see Drew Brees play football again. We'll never get to see Tom Brady and Drew Brees play again. You know what I mean? And so for me, like, it was a passing of the times. You know what I mean? But I thought it was a phenomenal game. And, Buccaneers, Tom Brady, he did it. You know what I mean? He did it. He's in the NFC Championship. You know what I mean?
Once again.
Yeah.
But, like how you said about Drew Brees, I had no choice, but I got emotional. Like, seeing him run off the field, looking back at the stadium one last time, it's sad to see. I think Tom Brady has, like, as you said in the car before we started recording, you said that Tom Brady didn't really play that phenomenal. You know what I mean? He had a pedestrian game, like he had that, he had a quarterback sneak, then 2 passing touchdowns. But I think what's crazy about this is that the Saints, I see it as them beating themselves. Again, how Maya said, they had the 2 long returns and they still couldn't capitalize off touchdowns. They had to get field goals against that. Yes. They turned the ball over 4 times. Drew Brees never looked on page with his receivers. The interception to Michael Thomas, I don't know what was going on right there. Michael Thomas looked like he was trotting and getting held. Yeah. And Drew Brees must have expected something else. The interception to Alvin Kamara was just running straight. Like, didn't even turn his head around. I don't know what... I mean, if you're Drew Brees, I know you expect him to do something else, but you can't throw it if his head's not turned around to you. Devin White, I'm proud that he finally got out there. He got in the spotlight. He's been a great linebacker this whole season. I would say he's runner-up for Rookie of the Year. But yeah, he had 11 tackles, 1 interception. He missed last week's game due to COVID. That's also one thing I forgot to touch on, that he missed last week's game.
Devin White missed last week?
Yeah, he missed last week. He didn't play. Michael Thomas had 0 catches. I don't know. If you're Sean Payne, I get it. He might have been still a little bit injured, might have been out of shape, but you have to game plan for him. You have to give him some touches. Even if it's just a wide receiver screen, something like that.
Michael Thomas said he was 100%. And you're paying him... You're paying him the damn bag.
There's no excuse for that.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah. Again, Brees didn't look good. I think if you're the Buccaneers, you have to be happy with your 1-2 punch with Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. They both had over 60 yards. Both look good. That's something, again, how Maya said, you need to give Tom Brady that running game.
Yeah.
I feel like the losses of Latavius Murray and Taysom Hill was huge, because Latavius Murray is that power back. He's the change-up back. Alvin Kamara is kind of the speedy run.
Shifty.
He's a shiftier one. Latavius Murray gets you those power yards. And no Taysom Hill, it forced the Saints to kind of play vanilla offense. They had to have Drew Brees out there the whole time. When you put in Taysom Hill in those short yardage plays, like he could run the ball, could pass the ball, do whatever. I feel like that lost to him. Like it made them lose their because Drew Brees couldn't get it done. You know what I mean? Like he obviously couldn't get it done. Yeah. When you put in Taysom Hill, it adds another element to that offense.
It does.
And again, the Saints just didn't get pressure on Tom Brady at all. He had all day to throw. Honestly, that Saints defense is lucky Tom Brady didn't have an even bigger day with not getting any pressure on him. And again, for the Saints, another playoff failure. Every year they have the team, they have the home field advantage, they have the quarterback, and they just never get it done. I don't think it's going to change in the near future.
Yeah, and they're all home games.
Yeah, they're all home games.
I'm sorry to say this.
No, you're good.
I don't think Devin White's a rookie.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not a rookie?
He's not a rookie.
It's his second year.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I
I think
forgot.
we're talking about Anton Winfield, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is the second year. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna piggyback off what you guys were saying about Breeze. You know, last week I did say I picked the Bucks because I wasn't sure how good Breeze was gonna look, and sure enough, he looked like trash.
Mm-hmm.
He had a 31 QBR, 55 completion percentage, and 135 pass yards.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that's not Drew Brees.
Yeah, that's not.
Even when he loses in the playoffs, he has way more than 134 passing yards.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe the ribs do factor in again because I had a feeling that he was lying about that he wasn't fully healthy. Like, what is he, 40, 41? And trying to say he was
41.
fully healthy from 11 broken ribs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just, that's just to hearten him, and I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And, the big part was the Bucs running game. Piggyback again off of what he said. It was 127 to 104. And Leonard was running hard. Ronald Jones was running hard. And we all know the last two times they played, that was one thing they didn't do well.
They lacked it, yeah.
I believe the last time they played the Saints, they only ran it 5 times?
Yeah.
And Brady was throwing it 40 times.
Yeah.
So, that played a big part in just slowing down the Saints defense. And Brady did just enough to win this game. No turnovers. He only had, I believe, 188 yards, 13 for 18, I think was his completion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read off some stats right here. Okay, ready? To all his receivers.
Man, let me hear.
Evans had 1 catch for 3 yards. Gronk had 1 catch for 14. AB 1 catch for 10. Chris Godwin had 4 catches for 34 yards. And get this one. The leading receiver in this offense yesterday was Leonard Fournette with 5 catches and 44 yards.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the factor in this game was Brady went back to what he did in New England. And what worked so well was checking the ball down to his running backs. And that played a big part in the offense. And that's how I believe they won the game was through Fournette and Ronald Jones and trusting the O-line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, the Saints defense was pretty much holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
And that offense wasn't producing. And that's ultimately what lost them the game.
Yeah. You can only do so much as a defense.
All right, so we're done with all 4 of the games for this week.
You guys anything else to say before I close this out, guys?
No, just another great week of playoffs. You know, I enjoyed every game, even though it wasn't the most entertaining. I still enjoyed it.
Not really a lot of action.
Yeah.
Offensive pack games.
Let us know down below in the comments, who thinks will win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Coming up, who do you have in the Super Bowl, right? And anything you think we got wrong or right, guys, let us know down below. Officially, guys, over 2,000 views for all the videos. You know?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. 115 subscribers, guys. We remember when we had 10. You know what I mean? And we were excited about that. 100,
sitting at a table in my apartment.
You know what I mean? Like 115 guys. We're so darn grateful for you guys. You know what I mean? We appreciate every shout out, guys. Instagram down in the bio, and feel free to show some support, guys. Thank you.